How's it going? Good afternoon to you. I was going to build a little present for a friend of mine. And if you want to follow along, build your own, you're welcome to it. Before we go anywhere, I'm going to warn you. There are some probably practices here that may depend on your local electrical rules. So you might want to investigate those first. The other thing here too is you're going to be working with electricity and you may not be qualified or feel comfortable or whatever. So don't kill yourself. In other words, in a nutshell, you build this, blow yourself into smithereens. It's not my problem because you put it together wrong or misused it. Now that we have all the disclaimers and safety warnings out of the way, let's get down to the good stuff. This is all stuff I got at the local hardware store. I got a little 1x2 work box. I got some cable clamps that fit in that hole. They go in there. And I got this. This is a switch plate like you'd see on probably a furnace. This is a Bussmann. It's a BP SSU, and it's a combination switch and a socket. And I like using these because A, it kind of cuts down on all the potential mistakes. Weird. Something new has been added, okay. And B, they're reasonably priced. It's not a big deal. And it probably says how to wire this thing in here. Yeah, wiring instructions. Yeah. Okay, and so I got that box, those two clamps, the Bussmann SSU unit, it's two little screws. There's a couple of wire nuts. There's a couple of little bitty crimp-on ends. You may or may not want to use those, up to you. And an extension cord. And I went out and bought a new extension cord. All of this stuff is probably stuff you might even have laying around the house, except for maybe that Bussmann panel unit. So if you do a little scrounging, you probably can come up with most of this stuff, or eliminate some of the things. Again, at your own peril. This day and age, you got to cover your butt, because some folks could screw up a parade in the desert. So that we've belittled people and done other mean things, let's get down to business. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this line cord and basically just chop it in half. Even though it is 25 feet long, you can adjust it accordingly. I've got a soldering iron. You can use a crimp tool if you want, or use nothing at all. That's totally up to you. You might need a knife. And so the first thing we're going to do is cut this baby in half. Now if you've never worked with electricity before, there's nothing to be terrified of. You don't have to be afraid of electricity, but you do have to respect it. Take your work box, and I'm going to knock the ends out. You could pick any two. There's 3 on one side and 1 on one side and on the back. Wouldn't use the back. You can pick any two you want. I'm going to go, oh, I don't know. Let's live a little. Yeah, I'm going to go on the sides just for fun. And you punch those out with a heavy screwdriver or pliers, and then you grab it and you just twist those. Those are called knockouts, for those of you who don't know. And these are the cable clamps. You may need a pair of pliers or needle nose, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put those in so that that screw side is up. And I'll get it in there somehow. Those of you that work with electricity every day, you can stop laughing. And you put the other one in there. And I would strongly suggest that you make sure that these are very tight. You may want to get a punch or something, or an old screwdriver, and these have little ears on them and little teeth, and if you tap on them pretty hard, those teeth will dig into the box. I'm trying my best here to level that up. There we go. Okay. Now, you take your line cord that you cut in half, or whatever length you want. It's up to you. You could use, this would be a really great use for an old line cord. And those are backed off, and just thread those through there. And just push a bunch through. We'll straighten that up later. These you can put in the kids' bank. They won't know the difference. Okay, so you need your knife. Hopefully if you get one that has a blade, it's okay. We'll get the standby blade. And I don't know, go ahead and cut back, I don't know, a bunch. And try not to nick into the wire underneath. And if you're careful, you can do that. This extension cord, I think, was a 14 gauge extension cord. You could use a lighter one or a heavier one, that's up to you. So now we got the 3 colors there. Everybody knows what those colors mean, right? Yeah, I thought so. Green is a ground, and that's the pin on that electrical socket, or the lower part. So we got that stripped out. Okay. So, what you're going to do is basically, in a nutshell, this is pretty easy. The 2 green wires, you're going to wire nut together with the wire nut. Now, depending on your local electrical code, you may have to tie these 2 wires to the chassis of this box. Well, we're back. This is actually kind of a little update that I'm going to jam in the middle of this other video. I taught, just for fun, I talked to an electrician friend of mine last night and asked him if I technically need to ground. This is a different box and different cord than the one you just saw. And just for fun, I asked him if that needed to be grounded. He hummed and hawed about it and didn't give me a straight answer, and the only answer I got out of him was it couldn't hurt, which I took to mean that maybe it's better to err on the side of caution than not. So ultimately, it's the end user's responsibility. Now, some of these dim bulb testers I've seen look like baby Frankenstein and Igor put them together, and I wouldn't wish them on my worst enemy. So it's up to you. If you feel uncomfortable with this, then just don't do it. That's all there is to it. Again, you can consult a local electrician, maybe have an electrician friend that could help you whip one of these together if you buy them a nice lunch or something. Or they might even have some surplus materials to help you build one of these. This is actually a second one that I built just for fun. This box is water tight, only if you insert these little plugs and then use the watertight dope or some kind of a glue to glue them in. And you'd have to use the watertight fittings. This is just a standard clamp. This is not a watertight clamp. But it's going to dramatically raise the cost. And I don't think that most people's benches are in wet areas. It doesn't make any sense, you know. But it's always okay to err on the side of safety. It's always okay to ask questions. You know, that's why I asked him. Like I said, I didn't get a straight answer. I got the "it couldn't hurt" answer, which tells me that better to err on the side of safety. Personally, I don't like that idea so much, and I see what it would do if you had this enclosure and it wasn't grounded to the chassis, and let's say this wire came loose and made the chassis hot, then you could potentially get shocked. My way of thinking is, well, everything in here is put together pretty well, and my concern is if I've got this on my bench with a lot of other things and something touches it, it's grounded, and now I can get a shock because this is up on my bench. I would rather have it float. And I looked around a little bit and didn't see a straight answer. I'm sure there's somebody out there that thinks, oh God, you got to do it this way, or you know, something bad will happen. Well, yeah, no matter what you do, it's wrong. So again, it's up to the end user to make a determination. You know, a lot of these testers I see don't even have grounded cords, so you be the judge. So there you go. And now back to our kind of the bulk of the program here. Thanks. So go ahead and strip that back a little bit. And twist those together and give them a nice little twist. Make sure it's nice and neat. And go ahead and put your wire nut on there. If the wire is too long, it'll poke out. Make sure that's on there. You'll feel it grab it. It'll be on there pretty tight. Now this is the neutral, the white wire. Go ahead and strip it back. And probably even that up a little bit. And go ahead and twist those together. And put that wire nut on there. Same thing, keep tightening it down until it grabs it and spins that around a little bit. I always kind of tug on those. Now you can go ahead and shorten this up a tiny bit. Okay, now you have three choices here. This is the black lead. You can do one of three things. You can strip this back and hook this to these connections. And let's open them up. Now, to be technically correct, which is the best kind of correctness, the wire that has the plug that you plug in the wall, let's see which one is which here. This is the bad side of having 30 foot of wire. And it's that one. Okay, so I've got this one here is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and strip both these back a little bit. And carefully put these lugs on. And just a little bit should poke out there. And you can crimp that and get your crimpers out and crimp that, or you can solder it. I'm going to solder it because that's what I want to do. Those of you having a fit about that, that's just tough. Or you could thread that wire under those screws, which I don't recommend because it's not solid and it'll be kind of hard to get under there. And we'll just touch that real quick. Keep knocking things off. Feel free to knock things off while you're doing this. Okay. So those are soldered. You're done, almost. What do we got here? Yeah, we got plenty of time. Okay, now's when you need to pay attention. The lead with the plug, which I lost, I can't remember, that's this one, goes on to the switch of this little unit. And the reason why is because when the switch is turned on, it's wired so that it goes to the center part of that fuse right there. If you wire it backwards, that hot lead will be on the shell and you could potentially get a shock if you like put your hand in there wrong. Oh, so we'll put the lead that comes from the wall on there. The other lead goes to the shell, your little fuse holder. And before you know it, you're about done. Okay, you'll need to hunt down a light bulb of your choosing. So that's all there is. You take a cord, cut it in half, basically wire those two and splice this in. That's all there really is to it. Now you carefully kind of fold that up in there. If you do it right, it'll just all fold up in there nice and neat. And I'm gonna... Oh, I'll let you hang there. I'll be back in a tenth of a second. You won't even know I'm gone. Aha. I have you now. The two screws that came with this go in the little holes. They go in the little ears. And you just line them babies up there. Okay, so you are about done. And that one goes in there. Like I said, these, I've seen these used on furnaces for some reason, I don't know. Well, I had that started. I guess I didn't do a good enough job. I can't. You, of course, could make this all out of separate pieces, but since this is so compact, if you're like me, I have limited real estate on my workbench, so this makes it nice and easy. If you want to put a little foot or a stand on this, cut out a nice little block, you can mount this on your bench. There's nothing to stop you from mounting it. Like I said, again, check with your local electrical code or friend whether you need to ground that shell of that box. Okay, you're done. Now I'm going to shut you off here and we'll make another video that shows you how to use this little gem. So what did that take? I don't know, 15 minutes out of your life? Time well spent. Okie dokie. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. The other thing you need to do is tighten these clamps. You thought you were going to get me on that one, right? if you want to join my channel. I appreciate that very much. I have lots of other, don't over tighten these, there's no reason, just snug them up till it kind of digs into it a little bit and you can't move it. I have electromechanical, mechanical, electronic, and other wacky, I don't know, things of interest. Okie dokie, well I'll tell you what, we'll shut you off there, and I'll be back in part 2 of this. And you even got parts left over for a rainy day. Thanks a lot, we'll see you in a little bit.